Epic prayer, Billy. Epic prayer.
It was beautiful.
What?
Your prayer was really good.
Thank you, Ian.
Good job.
Nice job, Truman. I wasn't even there and I liked it. I should have been there. Hey, I have not been here. I have. I feel just like sort of out of the loop, but sort of in the loop. I'm gonna kind of back up and fill you in. The week before I left, so it was January 1, and oh hey, my phone just went off. Which reminds me, everyone whip your phone out.
My phone's over there.
Put it on silent.
Nice.
My phone is in the gym as well.
Permanent silent. Mine's on get away with anything in class silent. Yeah, so anyway, January 1, I got a phone call, and Conwell, he's a guy, and you'll see a picture of him. He's my father-in-law's brother. Conwell Larson said, "Hey, want to go to Haiti?" I'm like, "Cool, when are we leaving?" And he said, "Saturday." I'm like, "That's like 4 days away. This is the first." And I'm like, "Okay." And you know, I'm a guy who never is spontaneous and never just jumps in, and so obviously I waited a solid 10. He almost had the sentence out of his mouth before I was like, "Yes, I'm in." Like he's like, "You want to go to Haiti?" "Yes." "When are we going?" "Saturday." "Yes, I'm in." And so anyway, my passport wasn't up to date. It expired. So I had to make a trip up. I had to set up a special appointment with someone up in Twin Cities. Drive on up there, sit down, have an interview, show them my paperwork, show them my flight plans, this and that, and prove that I needed to have it expedited. But not just expedited, like usually they do it like 2 to 4 weeks. They expedited like 2 to 4 hours. And so she had to go get her manager, and they had to sit down. And the best thing is, like, I have all these documents, like all these like legitimate documents. And they go, "Do you have anything, like an email from the actual like company you're going with?" And I just like had this massive brain fart, and I have no idea like the name of Go Serv, that's who we're going with. And I couldn't think of it. And I'm like, "It's with my church. I'm the youth pastor there." And they're like, "Oh, do you have a website?" I'm like, oh yeah, I have a website. I have to look it up. So I had to Google my church's website and scroll through. I'm like, I swear they have a picture of me. Hang on 1 second. I'm like, there I'm in the background of this one. That's me back there. And finally I find it. Like, it shouldn't have been that hard. I find it, and it's on my phone. It's not even like on their computer. And I show it to them, and they just like take one look and like, "Oh, you're good. Yeah, you're good." Totally sign off on it. I'm like, that's all I had to do is like make up a website. I could leave the country anytime I wanted. But anyway, so Saturday comes, and we take off, and we are heading down to Haiti. Now, I don't know if you know a lot about Haiti. This is a sunrise in Haiti. It is a beautiful, beautiful country. This right here is the ocean. I was up on the deck of where I was staying, and yeah, that's me. I took that picture. Yeah.
And then you
yeah. If I sent you any picture, like I send like shed stuff and individually, they're all pictures that I took. It was amazing. Every morning I got up and watched the sunrise, read my Bible, had a cup of coffee, and you couldn't have got a better day for that. But I'm going to give you a little background on Haiti. They had an earthquake a while back, and it was just a devastating earthquake. Like seriously, hundreds of thousands of people died. Now Haiti's already a poor country. Haiti, they have a super, super corrupt government, like beyond what you think is corrupt. Like beyond, I won't even say anyone that we all know. But anyway, beyond what we think is corrupt, like their government. Just to give you a for instance, Go Serv is who I went with. They had to go to court, and they said, "You have to go pick up the judge," because they don't really keep hours on there. It's Haitian time. So they went and picked up the judge, and Conwell made the comment, "You have a nice house." And he goes, "Oh, I took it."
What?
"Yeah, you what? You what? You took it?" He goes, "Yeah, I took it. I wanted it, so I just took it."
Wow.
Like that is just like their government, like to a T. At one point, they needed money, so they said, we're selling every tree that grows on Haiti to a different country. Doesn't matter where it was growing. And they just went around cutting out everyone's trees because they had sold them. And there's nothing you can do. A while back they had a dictator by the name of Papa Doc, and he was absolutely wretched, killed whoever he wanted. And then he died, and his son, Baby Doc, no joke, that's his name, Baby Doc, took over, and he was twice as bad as his dad. And I'll be coming back to him in a little bit. But anyway, Haiti's just a really, like, anytime you start to get ahead, the government just takes your stuff. And so then they have an earthquake. Most of the places go down. Bad deal. And then they're down there, it's like Bahamas. We flew around Cuba because we flew over them, they'd shoot us down. And then we land in the Dominican, okay? And so that's where we are, down there. And so they constantly get hit with hurricanes. So if you're white, they call you blah. That means white man. And so I was a blah. So anyway, the blah bought this property right by the beach, and they're just like, you guys are idiots. And they're like, why? This property's right by the beach. And they're like, no, you don't understand. That's where hurricanes come from. Because up here, if you live in Florida, how many days notice do you get? Like about a week? Hurricane's coming, heads up. It's coming your direction, heads up. Coming your direction. Okay, it's going to be here in 2 days. Oh, it's moving north. There, they literally go, you have 30 minutes. At the point when you can see the hurricane, you have about 30 minutes to find shelter. And so, and we're getting some wicked feedback, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Am I on a cord, maybe?
Yeah.
No, not on a cord.
Hey, like in the government, you said like they pretty much kill whoever they want, whenever they want. Like at any time, they just be like, I want these guys out of here.
Oh yeah, well, so since Baby Doc died, and they went to a democracy, so now they have a president, but it's all rigged. I mean, it's just like super rigged. But they're in for every 8 years. Anyway, about 5 years back, they had to evacuate everyone out that was white because they were rioting. They weren't mad at the white people; they're mad at the government. But you don't vote. If you want the government's attention, you find the nearest car and you flip it over and start it on fire. Yeah, that's how they do it. Like, I'm going to give you attention. And so you burn a car, you start some things on fire, and that's how it is. Maybe this one's a little better. Definitely hotter. Nice. Okay. But yeah, so you don't vote. And if you, I got a wicked echo now. Echo. Hello. So anyway, I'll go through a couple pictures here, and then I'll kind of get to a couple stories of what happened, just so you can kind of get a picture. This is the group that I went with. This guy here is Barry. That's Joe. That's Mark. And this is Evol. Evol is a native. He is actually an engineer, and so he builds most of the houses. He's actually very, very, very successful. As far as Haitian standards. Like, he owns his own house, okay? Most houses, and I'll show you a picture of one coming up. But funny thing is like, I didn't know who I was going with. Ken, he owned the plane. He said, you're hopping with me. Conwell said, you're going. And so this is Ken's son here, Mark. And Mark's like, oh, Billy, I remember him from Hidden Acres. And he's just like, oh, yeah? And so we get there, and so he starts telling stories about me. Totally didn't remember half the stuff he said, but I think he's just making up. But Barry, he is a few years older than me, and he was a youth pastor up in Cherokee. Do you remember Scott Rogge? This was Scott Rogge's youth pastor. Scott Rogge and I did a lot of things together. And so Barry knew me very, very well. Yeah, Scott Rogge and I got in a lot of trouble together. So when Barry heard that Billy Bergman was going to go, he was super excited because he just like couldn't wait to hang out with me and not have to get after me. But anyways, this is our group. This guy here, he has 2 new knees, 2 new shoulders, and his ankle's fused. And he's probably the happiest guy you'll ever meet. So that's our group, and we're down there to do construction, mostly electrical stuff because we know how to do stuff. This is Conwell, and this is one of the orphans. After the hurricane hit, if you did have a house that survived, now when I say house, let me describe a typical Okay. If you have a wall of cement and a piece of tin, you have a house. Like, you're doing good. Down there, here we get a 30-year mortgage. I want to buy this house, here's a 30-year mortgage, I pay it off the next 30 years. Down there, you have some money, and so you buy whatever you can, and you build that much. So in 30 years, you will have a house. Does that make sense? Hopefully? You know? And so, it's super, super poor. But anyway, the hurricane hit, wiped out tons and tons and tons and tons of houses. And there's just an unreal amount of orphans because people were dead. So Ken, he's from north here, he's just a farmer, owns his own plane, and he had flown down there and he had some clearance to go into different countries. So he's like, I'm going to fly medical supplies down. So this is how I got started, way back in 2010, no, it's been longer than that, 2006, I think. Anyway, so he just started flying medical supplies in after this happened. And this is Eddie, whoops. This is Eddie here, okay? And he met Eddie. Eddie was driving him around to like get fuel and stuff. And Eddie goes, I want to show you something. He goes, so he took him to his house and he said, I want you to meet these girls. And at that time, there's just 9 girls. Their parents had all been washed away in the hurricane, killed somehow. And they're all orphans. And anyway, he's like, I'm going to start an orphanage. You have to realize that Eddie makes in a year what you would make typically on a weekend. Okay? Everyone is just crazy, crazy poor. And he goes, I'm going to start an orphanage. And Ken was like, with what? And he goes, it doesn't matter. God calls me to take care of these kids, and I have to. I have to. So he started an orphanage, and Ken said, all right, I'm going to help you. And so he started working with them, and then Conwell got plugged in, and before long, they started working together. And Soup Cup, if you're familiar for an egg, anybody know Soup Cup?
They were putting up, but didn't egg.
Yeah, so Soup Cup, they make bins and fans and stuff. They say, hey, we came up with a design. This here is what they came up with. This is called a safety home. This is what it looks like on the inside. Beds, then over here would be a kitchen. It's here that wall tops round. Okay? And it's a safety home. And so a safety home is basically just what it sounds like. It's designed to survive a hurricane. So we were driving by and he goes, I want to tell you a story about that safety home. There's a lady, 5 kids and her husband. The hurricane hit. The house was getting wobbly. It had like 2 cement walls and a thatch roof. And the mother with 5 kids says, we're gone. We're leaving. We're taking off. We're going to the neighbors because their house is better. So she's crawling to the neighbors in a hurricane, okay, with 5 kids. She gets to the neighbor's house and it's gone. So they go on to the next neighbor's, it's gone. They go on to the next neighbor's, that house is gone. The 4th house, the 5th house. Finally, the 6th house that they come to is a safety home. And it was packed full of people. And she and her family crawled in there. And after the hurricane was done, they went back. And here the house had fallen in on her husband. And so here she is, widow, 5 kids, and survives the hurricane. And so she got a safety home. But the stories like this, like that was just one. They started taking applications, and they had to shut them off at 280 people. And when I say people, like if I didn't have a home as a male, they'd say, well, you don't qualify. Like these are like widows with kids who don't have homes. Okay, a typical Haitian will eat every other day because they don't have enough money to eat every day. We went by one lady. She's on the list of getting a safety home, and her house was 2 cement walls and a tin roof, and the house had tipped over like this, so the tin roof was still sitting there. She just bent up 1 piece of tin for the door, and that's where she's been living since, I don't know what, 2012 when the hurricane hit. That's just where she lives. So this is like extreme poverty, and so like as we're driving, we're seeing all these horrible houses, and Ken goes, you have to remember that the people who live along the road, they're the rich people. You have to look back off the road, because if you can afford it, you live on the road. So you look back and you'll see 2 pieces of tin leaning up against a tree. That's their home. And so it was just really, really eye-opening that way. This is a typical vehicle. Everyone just wedges on. Like I kind of get a kick out of the way they drive down there. There's motorcycles just everywhere, just flying around. Everyone's on a motorcycle. But typically there's 3 to 5 people on a motorcycle, along with a couple bags of rice, maybe a sheep, and that's how they get around. Just because they can't afford a big vehicle, so everyone just piles on. And they're like a moped, like a glorified moped. We always joke around because it's like, do you want the Boxer, the Lincoln, or the Wave? Those are the brands. And they were the 110-2. And we always were like, is that like a 112 or is it like a -2? It's like, is that a 18? You know, we joked around like, because they're all kind of knockoffs, but everyone like just drove around. And they have this rule, the only rule that they have, because cops don't enforce any road rules, is that generally speaking, this is a rule. Generally speaking, you stay on the right side of the road. Generally. You don't have to. But the bigger vehicle always has the right of way. You pull up like this, and here comes a motorcycle, and you're in a car, you just pull out. You have the right of way. A dump truck, you wait for the dump truck. Bus, you wait for the bus. And seriously, like they'll be flying, there'll be a bus. This one guy, he was known for, he'd killed a handful of people, but he just lays on the horn. He drives this big old bus, like from like the 50s. And he just lays on the horn and doesn't brake, and everyone just gets out of his way because you know he's coming through. So this guy here, we were filling up with gas, and we were sitting there, and 2 motorcycles head-on collision right there on the road. And pieces were flying everywhere, and the one guy slides about 70 feet. He's out in the middle of the road, and all you hear is, and here comes this bus. And I'm watching this, like, to the road. Like, I'm just sitting here, like, watch this. And the bus is just, and he's not going to slow up. He's like, that guy's in my way. And the guy rolls like this and right beside him. I mean, it missed him by this much. The guy was just going to run him over. And so, like, I was just blown away by this. And so I was talking to Conwell, and Conwell goes, yeah, you'll witness people get run over down here. And if you would have hit him and ran him over, they would have just kept going. And so, because of their extreme poverty and because of their extreme situation, they have realized that they've come to the conclusion, come to the conclusion that to survive, I will do anything. Whatever it takes, I will survive. Okay? So that's their mentality. This here, Soup Cup just put this up because this is a brand new building. Like, it's really out of place down there. It's really funny. But this is their church. And the orphanage, there's like 5 orphanages now. There's a girl orphanage, a boy orphanage, a baby orphanage, because a lot of times babies are just discarded alongside of the road, and so they'll be brought to the orphanage. And then there's another orphanage up in the mountains. But this here is just brand new, just got set up, and it is always being packed out. Typically people will have 2 outfits if they go to church. They have this outfit here, and he'll wear that every Sunday. And then he has just the thrashed out outfit that he wears like on the regular day. Does that make sense? Like they'll have they only own 2 pairs of clothes. So they have their nice one for church and then just whatever else. Can anybody guess what this is right here?
A pig.
It's a dog. This dog, his favorite spot to sleep is there or in front of the drums. So basically, like how they do their sound and their music is that you crank it all the way up till everything's about ready to squeal, you know, and then you do this. Go out in the quarter, turn louder. That's how they do it. It's super loud, and this dog every church service sleeps there or over there. But what do you notice about these people here?
They're worshiping.
They're worshiping. They have absolutely nothing. I mean, seriously, nothing. And these orphans have nothing. And Sunday comes around, Wednesday comes around, and they're just excited to be in church. They're just excited because without God, they would not be there. I'm going to kind of keep going here. This is our porch. It's just a pretty view. I just put that in there for fun. This is Mark, and this is his son. He's an orphan, McKinnon. And he's changed his name to Mark Kennan. He put an R in there because his dad's Mark. It's called sponsoring. So when you say, hey, I'm going to sponsor a child, and I'm going to pay for their education, their food, which basically means they get rice and an education and a place to stay, that kid automatically, you are their family. Because they have no idea who their real family is. So they're just excited. So it's really funny. Like we're sitting there, and he's showing them pictures of his family, and we were out to eat, and so when the rice came, he turns and goes, Mark goes, "You want some rice?" And he goes, "Yeah, Dad, dish it up." And he's just like the sweetest thing, just like broke your heart. But yeah, he's a really cool kid. He's been sponsoring for a few years now, and so he really likes him. We put up a trampoline. I give it a month and a half before we wore it out. There's just in this boy orphanage, there's like 60 kids in the boy orphanage, and then the girl orphanage, like 70. So they'll bring the girls over to jump on the trampoline, and it is just the kids. They just absolutely love this trampoline. But I give it a month and a half before it's wore out. You've never seen a trampoline jumped on so much. So that was one of the funner projects we did. We did a lot of electrical, a lot of stuff like this. These are some girls at an orphanage. We're playing soccer back here. There's the goal. Those two rocks. You kick it between the goal. See all these rocks? The ground is really rocky down there. And most of the kids don't have shoes, so they play soccer barefoot. And they are way better than you. Seriously. Because you're blah. This little boy here, he came to the orphanage. When a family can't afford their child anymore, if they have a family, they more or less get sold into slavery. Because they're like, my child will starve to death if they stay with me, so I'm going to sell them into slavery. They're almost always beaten. One girl came in a full body cast because she'd just been beaten so bad, everything was kind of broken. This little boy had been whipped because he wasn't working hard enough. He's probably 3. It's really tough. If you ask them how old they are, they'll say, I think I'm this, because they don't know. They don't remember. Anyway, so this is really typical. This here is really typical. Many kids are sold into slavery. And it's just, and then once they get to an age, they can't work enough to cover the food that they're eating, and so they're discarded. And so depending on the age, so the orphanage gets a lot of kids. One little girl there, her mom tried to drown her in a toilet, and she survived, so then she dropped her off at the orphanage because she didn't think she could go through with it. Now, just, drowning in a toilet, it was the humane thing that the mom was going to do, because instead of having her child starve to death, she was going to drown her so she wouldn't have to go through that. Just makes you sick. But every little kid is like that. So when you walk in there, they are so desperate for touch. So desperate for touch. They don't get held. I mean, obviously at the orphanage, they try to hold all the kids, but there's just the 2 orphanages that are side by side, there's like 130 kids. And so it is just like you constantly have kids sitting on your lap. Now this lady here, this is her home. She is upper middle class. This is her door. She's hoping to get nails to attach the hinges of the piece of tin. Is that a dog? Yes, that's a dog. Dogs just kind of run everywhere. They're the bottom of the totem pole. Like, no one beats the dog, but no one pets the dog. They're gross. But yeah, so anyway, this is Barry. This is another little guy. He is just really cute. You get a kick out of him. So we did a lot of electrical. They do a lot of solar panels down there because they don't have electricity. The government does have electricity, but no one can afford it. So you see a lot of, this is how they do, if you want to get your electrical license, go to Haiti because it's great. They take a pop bottle, fill it with rocks, and tie a wire onto it, and whip it over the high line and let it wrap around a couple times, and then run the wire into your house for electricity. They don't know what a ground is. Seriously, you like, if you know electricity, there's the hot and there's a ground, then we have another ground. We're Americans, we have 2 grounds. They don't. They just have the hot. And so one guy down there, he actually had electricity, and a guy was up on his roof hooking into it. He goes, "You can't do that." He goes, "Yes, I can. See, you have a pliers." He's like, No, you can't do that." He's like, "No, I can do it. Watch." And he's like, No, get off my roof. You can't be up there. So he went down on the other side of the meter and tied in there, and this is just like high tinsel fence wire, and he ran it a half a mile to his house, propped up on sticks, so he could have a light bulb. Like, that's just like, he had electricity. He just bumped himself up from super poor to medium, whatever. We also did a roofing. We're up about 3 stories. This side here had a building. The other side was just drop. And so we were up there doing, They have no OSHA. We always joked, is this OSHA approved? Because nothing was OSHA approved. Yeah. This is Joe. These little guys just really like Joe. This is the church. Now this is the church I want to tell you about. This is Rivinson's church. Rivinson's church, this is downtown. So the other one was out in the country. This is downtown. Rivinson, he came up, he's been at my church and stuff. Really cool guy. This building here was owned by Baby Doc. Baby Doc had it set up so he could sit on the front and point at people as they went by to have them executed. Like, no joke. He's downtown, and Baby Doc would sit there and go, yeah, I like you. And they'd bring him in, and they'd execute him. No reason, okay? They were walking around town praying on what building is going to be their next church. And Rivinson's wife was like, that's it. And it's like, no, that's like the voodoo center of downtown. Oh yeah, by the way, voodoo is their national religion. So, Satanism. And so, Baby Doc was obviously a Satanist, and so this building was just wretched. So anyway, Baby Doc had sold it after a while to this guy. Oh. So, hey, that guy's ugly.
Still good.
Yeah. Aww, I like Connor. Anyway, so Baby Doc had sold to this other guy. This other guy.
It just switched.
It just switched?
Yeah, I've got the pictures over here.
Can you drag it to the right? You have to hit exit, and then drag it. So I'll tell you a little bit about Baby Doc. Baby Doc, so he has this place, right? And he sold it to another guy, and that guy then, and then hit this presentation button right up there. Present. And this other guy just owned it, didn't do anything with it. So finally the other guy said, come in and look at it, was asking an unreal amount. And there's literally blood on the walls from people they had executed. So they had 2 cisterns on the property, and they're both filled with human remains. And, is that working?
It's up.
You have to drag it over to this screen before you hit present.
Then you have to look up there.
Go to the right. Yeah, bring it on over, there you go. Now this button right there. Boom. I'll have to catch up, I think, with the slides. So, Rivinson's church, so they went and they said, we want to buy this. And the guy's asking like, $2 million or whatever. And the guy's like, no, we're not paying that. And then, so finally the guy goes, I don't know why, but I want to just like give this to you dirt cheap. And, but they've been praying that this guy, that the Holy Spirit would just work on him. And so they sold it, and they just gutted it and remodeled it and everything. And it's really crazy to think that that was like a voodoo center, and now thousands of people come in there. Like when I say thousands, like they have like multiple church services, and to come in there and just praise and worship God. Yeah.
Do they have weird stuff going on there, like on its own kind of thing? If there is, like, I mean, like, you know, like.
I didn't ask any questions like that, but I know that it's just unreal amount of people who are executed in there, like beheaded and whatever else. So, and now it's a church, which is super, super cool. This here is the Haitian ladder. So I needed a ladder, and we always joke that this is the ladder. Joe would have to sit on it so that it didn't tip over. It's really funny. As he sat on it, the bottom fell out. But we kept using it, kept referring to it as the ladder. This is another orphanage. These are just kids that they sing us songs. Really cool. Now this little girl is Naika. She's my little girl. I sponsor her. I'm super excited about this little girl. I got to meet her, and I was asking her questions. You know, I was just like, you know, I have to meet, you know, well, I have to just get to know her. So I was asking her questions, and she just didn't know. It was really weird. It's like, what do you do for fun? She's like, I said, that's weird. You know, what's your favorite food? She's like, rice. Okay, that's weird, you know. When's your birthday? I don't know. You don't know your birthday? No. How old are you? I think 9. Like it's just like things that just kind of like, as any kid, that if I had my son in here, you could just ask him a bazillion questions and he'd have a favorite everything. They don't play games because, generally speaking, they are too busy trying to find food. Their favorite food is rice because that is probably the only food they've ever had. Until they actually went to the orphanage, they've probably never had anything besides rice, maybe a mango type of deal. So she didn't know. She just straight up didn't know. And like, to me, it was just like such a foreign concept to think that this little girl didn't know. She had 2 outfits, this one here and another little outfit like that. And she was super proud of it. She just thought that was like, she was dressed up for church. And so we sat in the front row, and she was super excited to have me sit by her. It was funny. They speak Creole, which is like French and African mix, and I speak English and pretend to speak Spanish, and it didn't help. But yeah, she's really funny, just how she was acting. And so I did this classic magic trick. They make the quarter disappear. They thought that was really cool. And then I'd make it disappear and make a piece of candy reappear. And that was the world's best trick, because they got a piece of candy. Like, they were just like super, super excited. So during church, I knew this. So during church, I reached over and I grabbed her hand and I was holding it. And she's super excited about that. And then a little bit later, I reached over and I grabbed her hand, but I slipped a piece of candy into her hand. She just was like, went nuts in church. It's just like, woo, Holy Spirit's gone on her, you know. And then I have this pen in my pocket. So I'm like, have you ever been bored? And click, 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 click. That's what I was doing. And so she was looking at it, and I'm like, so I just handed it to her, kind of like, you know, absent-mindedly handed to her. You would have swore that I had just given her, you know, the keys to a new car. She was just like, and she's like, for me, you know, kind of like, I'm like, yeah, whatever, you know, like in my mind I'm thinking, sure, have my pen, I don't care, you know, I have like 5 in my bag. No, she was the coolest girl there. She had a pen that clicked. Like most of them don't. Most of them have like 1 pencil. And so she was super, super excited about that. I just couldn't believe it. And then this was looking off at the sunset from our place where we're staying. It got really cold there. Almost hit a record low of, we're at 62. The record was 60, all-time low. Yeah, it was rough. It was really rough. But it was eye-opening to see the poverty. The poorest person in Iowa would be rich down there, just crazy rich. Like, we'd get a meal, home-cooked meal and a drink for $1, and they thought it was great because they're overcharging the blah, you know, like, we're overcharging the white guy. He paid $1 for the meal, you know. And we're like, I got a meal for $1, you know. Question.
Like in the churches and such, I don't know if it depends like on the church, but like, do they have like different people singing different languages? Like, if I were to go down there and just sing like English or...
Well, I knew about half the songs in English, you know.
Okay, so you just kind of
and so then I just sing in English.
Okay.
But most people, they just speak the classic. If they do speak a second language, it is English. Just because of missionaries in the past and present that have influenced them. The school there, the orphanage, the girls' orphanage, is getting up and running, and they're hoping to incorporate a university. Like, they give the classes now, but they want to be, so they can give a degree, and you can get a degree in 3 things. Masonry, like laying brick, sewing, and then the third one was English. Those are the 3 things that you could get a degree in at the orphanage, which was a huge step up. Most orphanages down there are government ran, and more or less it's just kids running around. They toss out food once in a while. We went out to this one village, it's a fishing village, and at the fishing village most of the people had been washed away in the last hurricane, and so there's still quite a few people there. But anyway, we're there and we're going to hand out food, so we have boxes of food, and we're hanging out for a long time. Nice people, really, really nice people. Well, then all of a sudden it comes time to hand out the food. We have a couple of local Haitians with us, so they're translating and stuff. And all of a sudden it's just like food, and I'm like, when I say food, I mean boxes of rice, maybe some noodles. And all of a sudden they start arguing. They start like, no, this one's mine. Like, start like fighting over the food, and like, it was amazing because like they were like to the point of, I'm going to punch you out over this food. Now if I said, hey, there's a box of rice up here. If you want it, you can come have it. This would probably be your reaction. Like, oh, thanks, Billy. Maybe, whatever. I guess if I'm leaving it and my arms open. You know, but they were so desperate and so to the point of starving that they were just ready to just like beat the tar out of their neighbor for food. Couldn't believe it. Like it was over my mind that I just couldn't wrap my mind around it because it was just like, man, I was just the thought of beating up my neighbor over a box of rice was not in my vocabulary. The orphanage down there, the baby orphanage, they call it James 1:17, and it says this: the religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this, to look after orphans and widows in their distress and keep oneself from being polluted by the world. That really hit home with me. Looking after orphans and widows in their distress. At the baby orphanage, they have allowed a few widows, elderly women, to stay there and they take care of the babies. But they are literally like in the face of homeless kids all the time. I want to hit on a couple other verses here. This is later in James. It says, what good is it, my brother and my sister, if someone claims they have faith but has no deeds? Can such a faith save them? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes or daily food. If you say to them, go in peace, keep warm and well fed, but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if it's not accompanied by action, is dead. But someone will say, you have faith, I have deeds. Show me your faith without deeds, and I will show you my faith by my deeds. You believe that there's one God? Good. Even the demons believe that and shudder. He's talking about faith and actions here. Just so you I read through that fast. He clarifies two things in there. First of all, he makes it pretty clear that actions won't save you. Okay? He's talking about actions. If you just do good deeds, that doesn't save you. But if you say, hey, I believe there's a God, that also doesn't save you. Because the demons believe that there's a God. When you put your faith in Christ, he's saying, you know what? You need to step up. Your actions need to show that you have faith. Your deeds need to show that you have faith. If you do not have any deeds with your faith is dead. You're just walking around giving lip service. Just saying, yeah, there's a God. It's kind of funny because down there the white person goes blah. Giving lip service is kind of going blah, 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 blah. Without actions, your faith is dead. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. This is back in James 1, the other one is James 2. Do what it says. Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like the one who looks in his face in the mirror, and then after looking at himself, goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. But whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continues in it, not forgetting what they have heard, but doing it, they will be blessed in what they do. Faith takes action. Faith takes action. Right now I want to challenge you guys. Are you giving God lip service? Are you giving God just like, yeah, I believe, sure, sounds good, I'm a Christian, I guess? Or would people say, I can tell by your actions that you have faith? When I was down there, we were in church, and these kids are just praising God. And I could just tell by their actions that they had faith because they had nothing but faith. Does that make sense? So my question to you guys is does your faith have action? Does your faith have traction? Is it making ground? We talked about a few before Christmas about what does an obedient Christian look like, where the rubber meets the road. Does your faith have action? Are you looking for opportunities to take care of orphans, take care of widows? Now obviously we are not Haiti, we are not surrounded by orphans and widows. However, we are surrounded by people in need, people who are made fun of, beat up, whatever. What are your actions towards them? Down there is pretty obvious to see the needs. And up here, sometimes it's kind of hard. But I just want to challenge you guys. Is your faith having actions? Are you intently going after that? Or are you like this person who looks in the mirror and after looking at himself, walks away and immediately forgets what he looks like? Because you're one or the other. You're one or the other. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father God, Lord, I just want to lift up Naika to you. I thank you for her. I thank you for the opportunity to support her. I thank you for the opportunity to care for her and just meet her needs. Lord, I pray that you'll bless her and the other girls there, the other boys there, that they will they'll have food, that they'll have shelter, that they'll hopefully have an education. Lord, I thank you so much for the fact that even in such a dark, Satan-gripped country, your light is shining, that you are taking over voodoo centers and turning them into a place of worship. Lord, you are just a mighty God. You are a powerful God, and I love it. God, I ask right now that we too can be a country that's taking over places where Satan has a stronghold and claiming them as ours, saying they're ours, they're not his anymore. That we are being men and women of faith, men and women of character, men and women of action. Putting our faith into action, showing our deeds because of what you did on the cross. So we're turning around saying, look, I can do the same. Lord, we thank you so much for loving us. Thank you so much for lifting me out of my sin. God, you're an awesome God. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
If anybody has any questions, I'm glad to answer any more questions. And if you want to get connected with Go Serv and just kind of see what they have, just Google them. Go Serv, S-E-R-V, and they have everything on there that you want to know. So it's pretty cool. So if you have any questions, I'll gladly answer them. Other than that, it's 9 o'clock, so gym will be open for a while. Hang out, have fun.